Okay, this is for Thursday evening, fractional equations and inequalities. I'm going to zoom in so we can work number 1. Oops. Let's see. Okay, that should be good. All right, so now we're working with fractions. In order to solve this equation, the easiest thing to do instead of working with the fractions is to eliminate the fractions by multiplying by a least common denominator. In this case, our least common denominator would be 8. So usually if you go with the largest number. Now this one I'm going to go ahead and work on a separate sheet of paper so you can see it better. So for number 1 we have negative 3/4 x plus 1/8 equals negative 2. Okay, so like I said a second ago, 8 would be our least common denominator, or least common multiple. 8 times negative 3/4 x plus 8 times 1/8 equals 8 times negative 2. So remember, when you multiply by 8, you have to multiply it by everything. Alright, so what happens here is you end up with 2. So 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. The 8's cancel out here because remember this is the same thing as saying 8/1. If I multiply 8 times 1, multiply across, you end up with 8. If I multiply 1 times 8, you end up with 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. And then 8 times negative 2, negative 16. Okay, now we're back to our two-step equation. We subtract 1, subtract 1. Negative 6x equals negative 17. Isolate the x, divide both sides by, sorry, let me lower that, negative 6. Cancels out, therefore, you have 2 negatives, that makes it a positive 17/6. Okay, so when you're working with fractions, you may look at this answer and say, I don't know if this is right. What can you do? You can plug it in. So if I take my calculator, turn it on, if I do this first part right here, negative 3 divided by 4, I'm sorry, we got to multiply that by 17/6. Add that to 1/8 divided by 8. You can't see that. There it is. You get negative 2. So therefore this left side equals negative 2. Now remember, when you're doing fractions, let's say I want to enter 1/2. You would open parentheses, 1 divided by 2, close parentheses. Okay, so when you're looking for that division sign, 1/2, that's a division sign in between. Okay. All right, so for number 1 on our paper, we have x equals 17/6. Let's go to number 2. I'm going to write it over here on the separate sheet of paper. We have y minus 1/3 y minus 15 equals 0. Okay, so again, the least common denominator here is 3. Okay, so you're looking for the biggest number, which is 3. So we have 3 times y. We're going to multiply each term minus 3 times 1/3 y minus 3 times 15 equals 3 times 0. So again, you're multiplying 3 on every term. Okay, when we do that, we end up with 3y minus y minus 45, and 3 times 0 is 0. At this point, we can combine like terms, same side of the equal sign. 3y minus y is 2y minus 45 equals 0. Isolate the y. We need to get rid of that minus 45, so we're going to add 45 to each side. So 2y equals 45. Isolate the y, divide both sides by 2. Y equals 22.5. Or 45 over 2 as a fraction. Okay, in class on Friday you'll work 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to work number 7 with you. See if I can do this. This might work. Okay. Number 7, we have negative 5 over 2x plus 1/2 equals negative 18. We're going to multiply everything by 2. So 2 times negative 5/2 x, 2 times 1/2 equals 2 times negative 18. Cancels out. You're left with a negative 5x. Cancels out. You're left with a positive 1. 2 times negative 18, negative 36. We want to isolate the x, so we need to get rid of the 1. So subtract 1, subtract 1. Negative 5x equals negative 37. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. X equals positive 37 over 5. And then I put that on number 7. Okay, number 8, I'm going to rewrite the problem. We have 1/8 16y plus 8 minus 17 equals negative 1/4 8y minus 16. Okay, now on this problem, you could multiply the sides by 8. That's one option. Then there is also the option of just distributing the 1/8 and the negative 1/4. Okay, so again, you can do what we did on the last problem, or the last few problems, where you multiply by this by 8, this by 8, and this by 8. Or you can distribute. So if I were to distribute, if I multiply 1/8 times 16, that's like saying 16 divided by 8, which is 2y. Then I multiply 1/8 times 8, and that's the same thing as saying plus 1. Minus 17 equals negative 1/4 times 8, that's the same thing as saying negative 8 divided by 4, which is negative 2y. and then negative 1/4 times negative 16 is positive 4. Okay, from here, we can combine this 1 and this negative 17. That gives us 2y minus 16 equals negative 2y plus 4. Isolate the y. I'm going to add 16 here, add 16 to the other side. That leaves us with 2y equals negative 2y plus 20. I'm going to add 2y to the other side, so I have all my variables on one side, and I have my number on the other. So 4y equals 20. Divide both sides by 4. Y equals 5. So number 8, y equals 5. Let's see here. Okay, so in class on Friday, you're going to work number 9, 10, 11, 12. Flip the page. I'm going to work 13 with you. Okay, so for number 13, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of that fraction. So I'm left with x is greater than or equal to negative 27. Okay, on 14, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 to get rid of that fraction. So we have 12y is less than 3. Divide by 12, divide by 12. Y is less than 1/4. You have to reduce it. You get 1/4 by dividing the top and bottom by 3. Reducing the fraction. Okay, and in class you will work 15, 16, 17, and 18.